Hey guys, how's it going? Zach Patcher with the NFL Draft Bible, and I'm here with a special edition of today's episode. We're joined by Zebra Technologies' Adam Petrus. Adam, how's it going, my man?
Hey, I am doing great, Zach. Thanks for having me on today.
Great. So as I said, Adam's with Zebra Technologies here. We're going to be talking about a little bit of what they do. Adam's going to give me a little bit of an intro here. So Adam, take it away, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Zebra here.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Zach. So, Zebra Technologies, we are a global leader in RFID solutions. So that's radio frequency identification, and we've been a global leader for the last 50 years. So we took what we were doing in industries such as warehousing, logistics, healthcare, and we applied that to the world of sports. So we are the official on-field player tracking provider of the NFL. So when you get next-gen stats data, that is coming through the collection of our hardware and our solution. So it's really fun to be a partner of the NFL. We track every single play of every single player for every single game, and we've been doing that for the last 7-8 years. We're actually into our 8th season, getting ready to go into our 9th next year. But the fun part about all this is the fact that you've interacted with Zebra and your listeners, and you probably never even knew it. When you get a delivery at your door, let's say from that 1 or 2 day delivery service, and you get an email that says your package is there, well, that handheld device that alerts you to the package being delivered, Zebra Technology builds that. When you go to your favorite big box store and you're looking for paper towels, and you talk to the person, the associate with the colorful shirt, and say, hey, do you guys got any paper towels here? They don't have to walk to the back. They simply take off their hip, a little device, inventory management solution, and say, oh yeah, we got three packages in the back. That's another Zebra Technology solution. And it goes on with when you go within the healthcare market and you have to put a wristband on at the hospital, Zebra Technologies is behind some of that technology and solution. So we're real proud of all the work that we do across the globe, but certainly I particularly enjoy what we do with Zebra Sports. I started my career in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns in the front office, and now I've been with Zebra Technology since 2015, where I've been managing the next Gen Stats program on Zebra's operational side since then. And so it's been quite an adventure, and we've seen the evolution of how data is getting incorporated into the game, how players are becoming more knowledgeable. We're seeing how the broadcast is using more of the bits, talking about player speeds, talking about separation, and we also have a practice solution that we service and provide to a third of the NFL clubs. And what's really neat about that too is the fact that teams have built a culture where data analytics, player tracking plays a role into the scheme and into the recipe for success. And out of that, I think the players benefit by the fact that you're going to prolong careers by guys that understand load management, and or if you've been injured, or return to play, program where we look at your data from when you were healthy to where you were injured and then get you back on track. So it's a lot of fun that the player tracking data can do to enhance a football team's record.
Yeah, that's amazing. And of course, me, myself, I'm a huge football guy. I know our listeners are all huge football people. And they may have heard your name a few times, throughout the Senior Bowl process, the Shrine Game,
Sure.
all that stuff. But hearing, I did my research on you guys, so I know a little bit about it. But just hearing about all that stuff you just talked about, that's amazing. I really didn't realize that all that was being put into, the healthcare field, the restaurants, the grocery stores, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really exciting for us. The NFL came to us because we were a leader in tracking assets. And that's what we love to do as far as Zebra builds technologies that enable businesses to improve their performance by connecting assets, data, and people. And we deliver results. And so that's what we've been doing for the NFL. And so, 8 years later, 8 seasons later, we're going to go into our 9th this year. I'm certainly here in LA, ready for the Super Bowl. You're going to see next gen stats highlighted during the broadcast inside SoFi Stadium. So it's fun. We're living in a digital world where you have the digital athlete, right? And it's certainly, if I'm smart and I want to prolong my career, or I want to get paid, certainly when you have the data to support that measurable, you definitely want to make sure your agent has that. You want to make sure that the coaching staff has it, that the GM of a club that might be talking to you has all that information. And conversely, if you're not delivering results, right, the data doesn't lie. it's going to be something that the next man up is going to be able to present. So that's where, the world of data, it's a tool. It's a tool for the toolbox. And that's where teams need to be able to, understand that you still need to know X's and O's. You need to have, a dietitian plan. You need to have good strength and conditioning, but you have to execute on the field. And what's really neat about the player tracking is that we're delivering you player performance data. And that's really exciting. So, being in Mobile, we saw Tariq Woolen run 22.45 miles per hour on that first practice. That is fast playing speed. If you look at the generation of next gen stats data, there's not a lot of guys that are running 22 miles per hour. So when you do it, not in a 40 out of the blocks, right? But when you do it in football performance, I think that turns some heads. And certainly, if I'm a coach or a scout, I'm looking at the fact that, hey, and what happened here, interesting story with Tariq, is the fact that he was in press coverage, man-to-man, he got beat off the line. So you know what we call that speed? That's catch-up speed. He had to put on the jets to be able to make the play, but it goes to me and shows me that the guy's got speed. I can teach him, I can coach him how to be a better press coverage defender, right? I can give him some NFL skill, but you can't teach somebody to be fast. And when you got the fast twitch muscle like he did, I think he certainly, he got some attention with his 6'3", fast 22.45 miles per hour.
That's amazing information. Adam Petrus here with us, Zebra Technologies. This is all fantastic stuff because analytics is starting to really come into the game of football, right? Like everyone's starting to talk about analytics and they're trying to find the right formula and this, that, and the other thing. It sounds like you guys really have this down pat, and this is something that's fantastic for these people to use. Especially, you talked about, how fast a guy runs on the football field. I care more about how fast a guy runs on a football field rather than how he's trained for the last 3 months to run a 40 time. Now, there's a lot of good that comes out of the 40, but what you guys are tracking in miles per hour, and you guys have acceleration that you guys track as well. That's a lot that it helps me as a scout try to, either confirm what I've seen on tape, or it just adds another layer of, hey, this guy's a lot faster than I've either gave him credit for, or hey, like, if a guy's running, 22 miles an hour like Tariq was, I mean, that's something that shows me if I can refine his technique as a defensive back,
exactly, yeah,
he's got that type of speed. That's someone I really want to work with. And you saw Tariq Woolen start to creep up in like first rounds of mock drafts after the Senior Bowl. Like this kid really, because of what you guys were able to show in the miles per hour, this really helped this kid start to put his name on the map.
Yeah, we're talking about playing speed, right? He's got a helmet and shoulder pads on, Zach. This isn't just wearing a singlet in Indy and coming out of blocks. I mean, let's be honest. Certainly, there's some guys that can move and motor, right? And they train a lot to be able to run out of blocks. But let's say that's a pressure day and you're just not good out of the blocks. Is your draft stock going to go down because you ran a bad 40 wearing a singlet and spikes? Perhaps to some, but I think that there is a school of thought more and more throughout the NFL and evaluators that, hey, if we have the technology through player tracking, Zebra Technologies is the leader in RFID player tracking. So we use RFID technology, radio frequency identification, and we put the RFID tags, they're really small form factor, and they're almost indestructible case. And so they blink at 12 hertz and they have a battery life, and these tags will last for 2 years. We embed them under the shoulder pads so they don't impact the performance of the play, because certainly that's very important. You can't have a bulky, tag and the shoulder pad doesn't lay flat, right? We can't do that. And then also we worked with Wilson in Ada, Ohio, along with the NFL. And we have a tag form factor that's inside the football. So, Malik Willis from Liberty, he was spinning that ball. I think he threw that 72.4 miles per hour, right? I mean, he was zipping it. And so those are the other metrics that you look at in the sense, hey, if he's got to play up in Buffalo or New England and it's raining or it's windy, certainly I want somebody who's got some muscle behind the ball, because we always say, hey, that guy can really spin it. Well, what does that mean, right? But we can actually look at the RPMs, revolution per minute, to say, he's above the average of traditional quarterbacks, even in the NFL. So combined by his arm strength, where we get the velocity and the speed of the ball coming out at 74 miles per hour as initial speed, throwing a tight spiral does matter in the rain or the snow or the wind. So if you're at Soldier Field or in Cleveland or any of those environments, I look at who's the guy that can get me the ball on a big play when we need to.
You brought up Malik Willis, and it's funny too, because we knew the guy was athletic. We knew the guy had a big arm. But how hard can that guy actually throw the ball? Can he fit it into tight windows? Can he make those boundary throws? And that's what your guys' technology is able to tell us. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it gives you another layer of optics and insight into the player performance. And so it's one thing to be able to take, some of the standard box, evaluation details, but it's another when you can, say the data doesn't lie, right? We see somebody moving on the field. Oh, that was a great move and play. And then you look back and say, wow, his initial acceleration rate went from, 0 to 15 to 18 to 19, 20. And then he sustained that max speed for 5.2 yards. And by the way, he was actually inside the 21 range miles per hour for 40 yards of the run. It's a great evaluation. And I always say that, player tracking data analytics, it's one piece of the toolkit, right? But I think there are some teams here in the NFL, even the collegiate level, that have realized that it's a special tool. And when applied appropriately, and, as we see in the NFL, that, we have almost a third of the NFL clubs use our tracking solution for their practice solution. And so they're looking at like player load. Like how many yards is that player, traveling during the course of practice, or how many times are they hitting 80% of their max threshold for speed? They can evaluate those things in live time. And that's what's so great too about RFID technology, is that we have a live dashboard that allows them to moderate. And if somebody's not working hard enough, you go up and you say, hey, what's going on? I noticed that you haven't even hit 75% of your max speed today. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? And out of that, we all have lives outside of football or our jobs. It's the same thing with an athlete. Could be something going on at home. Could be his mom in the hospital. And then this is how, hey, you're using data to actually solve another issue, saying, hey, you know what? Go on inside and go stretch, go see the trainer, or go call your mom, right? It's another part of the solution to make these players perform optimally. But with the solution where you look at the load, making sure, hey, I want to make sure you're not running, 8,000 yards in practice 5 days in a row and then going into game. I want to tailor your workout individually for you. And the same thing for an offensive lineman. I want to see how many fast twitch muscle accelerations we see that you perform. So there's so much data that you can collect. And I think the teams that are really, super users are finding what's important and then making those modifications throughout the course of the week to get optimal performance on Sunday.
Great stuff. Adam Petrus, Zebra Technologies. You guys are the guys that we need to use for analytics. This needs to be used across everything, right? This is great information. I'm learning a lot right now. It's fantastic. I want to talk about something you touched on a little bit previously. You spoke about getting these guys back healthy after an injury. Can you touch on that even a little bit more?
Sure. So, a return to play program is vitally important in the NFL. And so through our live monitoring, and then of course, looking at monitoring athletes when they were healthy, and then comparing that to the injury and looking at their progression over time. How many times have we always heard somebody say, in an interview, I'm ready to go, the ankle feels good. Well, we all know they want to get back and play. They want to deliver for the team, right? But the data doesn't lie, right? And so if their acceleration isn't where it should be for those first 3.5 yards, or in practice, their inability to create separation after 10 yards on man-to-man coverage when they were doing it before, it's vitally important. So you want to look at these things such as acute to chronic ratio based out of the metrics. You want to look at ball metrics too, right? Quarterback injury coming back. Is the velocity there? Is the spin rate still there? So it's a great tool of getting that player back to play at 100% efficiency, if in fact the team has the liberty to wait for that. And then other teams will know that, hey, we gotta make sure that we're not overdoing it in practice as well as in the game.
Right. That's fantastic. I think that's going to be something that really helps teams if if they're not using this as like something to do right now, like something to use right now to get these guys back on the field or at the right time. This is something that needs to be looked at a lot more. Now, I want to talk about a little bit more about stuff you do outside of football. Again, we're all football guys. Let's talk about some of the insights that you guys have that's off the football field.
Yeah, so great question, and thanks for asking it, Zach. So as I mentioned, we're in manufacturing, transportation, logistics, retail, healthcare markets, and also sports and entertainment from the standpoint of anytime you go to a venue and you have either a ticket that has to be scanned or you have a QR code. those handheld devices can be Zebra technology. When you go into retail, we're into a thing called frictionless checkout, and that's where you go into a store, you pick up a basket or a bag, you go off the shelf, you put everything into a bag, and then you come to a little checkout box, you drop it into the enclosure, it will read everything in the bag, and then you look and say, yep, that's everything. I tap my card, I get my receipt, and I go. I don't have to have a transaction or have another human touch my bag in the world of COVID. It's really smooth and efficient service that we deliver and we execute on. And then, of course, in healthcare, we're a big proponent of delivering solutions from the healthcare market. So inside the urgent cares to the hospitals to inventory management here at SoFi Stadium, back on the sports and entertainment side, they know how many actual chairs to set up for a concert utilizing our inventory management tools, using RFID technology. So it's fun that we can touch so many different spaces. And certainly for me, sports and entertainment, when you go on a cruise ship, or if you go to Disney World, there's opportunities where RFID technology is touching the park as well as the consumer experience.
Right. So that's amazing. So it's all these RFID chips, scanners, all the above. Is there anything else, any other equipment that kind of goes into the off the football field stuff?
So we use handheld mobile computers, handheld scanners, credential printing, right? I don't want to flash my credential here, but we print credentials just as we did in Mobile. That was one of the new partnerships this year, is giving them the solutions to be more efficient for visitor access control.
What's awesome about that too, it was so fun. Like I walk into the stadium and I got my credentials, right? And it just looks, it's got the picture, it's got everything. And this guy comes up, I mean, it's thin. It's like a thin little card on regular credential. And this dude scans it and he, says where I'm supposed to go. I'm like, holy smokes, this is amazing.
That's it. You get the little green beep, right? And you are cleared for access to the press box or to the field. So we deliver all these awesome solutions that really, again, enable businesses to deliver a performance edge for whatever their bottom line is. And that's what we love, is being a good partner. We've been a good partner of the NFL, the Reese's Senior Bowl. We did the East-West Shrine Game. Next year, we're going to track the HBCU. So there's growth within, college football all-star games. But certainly, personally, I'd love for us to see us continue to grow in the NCAA space and provide, what could be the future next generations of the NCAA.
Just think what that could do for scouting in the NFL and independent scouts like ourselves at the NFL Draft Bible. That will do, wonders. The sky's the limit for what we'd be able to do with that type of information at the college level. It
absolutely is. And, we're getting into the age of the digital athlete, and the fact that we should use technology to the betterment of anything that we do, right? Oh, the old adage, work smarter, not harder. Well, technology is allowing us to be able to actually achieve that. So I'm certainly excited and hopeful that we're going to continue to see more trends where evaluations and smart decisions can be made based off of player tracking, and in using the sports analytics as a proof point to be able to either evaluate and elevate somebody to being a draft pick or being selected and being that that secret weapon.
First of all, I know this is something that's going to help NFL teams. I know it could help college football teams. I know it's helped me. I was tweeting out to my followers, letting them know about Zebra Technologies, check out the miles per hour on Tariq Woolen, on Goodrich, and all these guys. And I know a lot of the people that were checking it out loved what they saw, the information that you guys were able to provide for them. And it was phenomenal. So there's a lot you guys do off the field. There's a ton you guys do on the field, next gen stats, tracking miles per hour, acceleration, spin rate, all the above. There's so much you guys do. Now I want to get into the Super Bowl. So what are you guys doing with the Super Bowl here?
Yeah, so we've got our full game day operations crew here this week. Right now, we're in the stadium. We're tuning our system.
You're on location right now.
On location. We got a team there in SoFi. They're making sure that all of our RFID antennas that are installed more or less on the club level, they're all pointed and aimed onto the field. We're going to have that field calibrated. So RFID technology is the most accurate and precise player tracking solution that's out there in the world. If how many of us have used a GPS to get somewhere and it's like 30 feet off, right? It could be anywhere from a yard to 30 feet and have you parking across the street. So RFID technology, we have the ability to conduct a reference accuracy test, and we make sure that there's no interference so that we will pick up every single play of every single player that gets out onto the field. We're going to be tracking them. So we calibrate the field. Everything's an XY plane. So when they step onto that field, we have from 0-0 all the way to 0-360, the full dimensions of the field. It is very precise. And so I'm excited. The team is there. They're making sure we're doing walk tests. We're making sure that this game is going to be just like every other Super Bowl, as well as every game. We're going to deliver the sound solution of the Zebra Sports revolutionary real-time location services player tracking.
That's amazing. So from the top, you're scanning down to the field, and then you also have these RFID chips into just everything here to get all that information.
That's it. So every single player has a left and a right RFID tag that we embed into the shoulder pad. And then, of course, linemen have to get down into a 3-point stance. So we can triangulate the fact when they get down, we want to be able to make sure that we have full coverage, so that we have line of sight on our tags itself. And so we have tags in the pylons as well. So the field, every detail, to include the officials also wear the player tracking tags, so that the NFL gets the algorithm of the game. They use it as a teaching tool to make sure they're in the right location. So I think, the NFL has done a great job and been very forward leaning on using the player tracking and telling those really neat stories that they do on Next Gen Stats. And I'm excited for us to continue that, to provide the hardware and the solution that eventually delivers Next Gen Stats.
Oh, amazing stuff. Adam Petrus, Zebra Technologies. We're going to be talking some Super Bowl here. Okay. I got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
So what do you got there?
Oh, that's our Zebra logo here.
Oh, perfect.
So
awesome. I love it.
It's built out kind of like a barcode.
Awesome. That's perfect. That fits in perfectly. That's great. I saw the logo on there. Not that you said that, it clicks with me, right? That makes sense. I like that. So let's talk the Super Bowl. What does Zebra Technologies foresee? Like, do you guys have any statistics that say a certain team has a better probability of winning at all?
Certainly, the folks at Next Gen Stats, they tell some really cool stories. And certainly, on one play within the NFL, there are 200 different data points that can be gleaned. So think about that. 200 data points come out of one play. You got 11 on 11. You got a tag inside the ball. We're talking three drop step. You've got 10 yards, create separation. There's so many individual things that you're pulling, but certainly, we look at different things that come out of it, right? And so look, the Rams were 27th in fourth down conversion attempts with a total of 19. The running back squad had a negative rushing yards over expected in the regular season. These aren't all positive things. And you look at the defense side, all pro defenders, the Rams have a pressure rate of 22.8%, which is 24th in the NFL. And then they have special teams, 2 for 2 on field goals, tied for 6th highest. Matt Gay, second best field goal percentage of 94.1%, which is second best in the NFL. However, he did miss 2 important field goals against San Fran and the Bucs. So when you come to the playoffs, we all know that pressure gets to players, and so that's a data point that you can't always capture, except for the sense that you can here in the sense that he missed 2 there. And then on the Bengals side, equivalently, Joe Mixon had just 1 rushing yard over expected this season for what it's worth, but it was always against a stacked box 18% of the time. And then you look again, the Joe Burrow sack ratio we've seen, leading the NFL with the 5th highest sack rate at 51. And then I think it's really going to be interesting here is, you look at the pressure and the blitz rate. And so the blitz rate for the Rams is at 7th lowest in the NFL with a pressure of 24.5% in the regular season. So there's going to be some interesting storylines that come out of all of this, and I think there's going to be some great matches, and we're excited to see how it all shakes out.
So so here's my prediction. I want you to make a prediction just based on just based off of the analytics that you see.
Okay,
I got the Bengals 35-31. And here's why. I do think that Aaron Donald is going to be a huge factor in this game, especially like you talked about the sack rate. It's not great for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but I just think Joe Burrow, man, and just full disclosure.
Joe Cool, man. Joe
Cool, man. Full disclosure. I'm a Vikings fan, and when I saw him wearing that Randy Moss jersey, I'm like, Joe Burrow all the way, man. I gotta go with it. So I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, 35-31.
Okay.
Maybe just a fan thing for me too, because I want to see a high scoring game. I want to have fun at the Super Bowl, hang out, watch it, you know. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
out of all this, out of all the analytics and what your technology is telling us, who do you think is going to pull off the victory here?
So look, I mean, these teams have both been putting points up. And I think, there's going to be a defensive matchup, but both teams have playmakers, right? We know that the Rams have traded for Matthew Stafford, and they got Odell Beckham Jr. Cooper Kupp's been phenomenal all year. We get some long balls, we get some big runs. I think I want to see a shootout, right? I think it's going to be closer to something like 28-24. Rams.
Rams, okay.
I think we're going to see Rams. Home field advantage, right? Home
my
field
gut
advantage
is telling me Rams, but my heart, man, is telling me Bengals.
You know what? I would be thrilled either way with a really good game. That just like the playoffs have been fantastic once we got to the divisional round. I think if we can see more of that, it's going to be a really successful Super Bowl, and I think whoever comes out on top is going to have earned it. And yeah, I'm excited. But either way, let's see a good game.
Awesome stuff. Adam Petrus, Zebra Technologies. Before I let you go, Adam, is there anything else you would like to tell the folks that are listening here? More, a little bit, that we haven't touched on, maybe where we can find you, something like that?
Yeah. So I would certainly say, hey, if you've never been to the Next Gen Stats site, definitely worth checking out. There's some really good storylines for you to check out. And you probably all have checked it out, but I definitely recommend and encourage you to do that. If you're interested in sports and technology, take a look at Zebra Technologies website at www.zebra.com. You can look for me on Twitter. I gotta bring my handle back up. I think @primetime Petrus. And yeah, Zach, I hope I can come on again sometime.
Adam, it was a pleasure talking to you. I would love to have you on again, talk a little bit more and see, how the analytics stacked up for the game too. See how that all played out. So that's, we're going to wrap up the show, but I just want you guys to make sure Zebra Technologies, Adam Petrus, all the guys over there are doing a fantastic job. Make sure you're checking it out. Be sure to tune in again. We're going to be live again Tuesday. We're going to be talking about the latest NFL mock draft that goes up on si.com/NFL/draft. And we're going to have this show up on si.com as well. So be sure you check it out. Thank you guys for listening.